If I were creating anything that were creator focused and I was trying to build a brand around it, I'd definitely create a standalone channel. Sometimes you can convert to your channel, but that means that whatever it is you're doing is close enough to your personal brand, and that you don't mind sacrificing your personal brand or your personal space to this work. Thanks for taking the time to join this session. I hope that it will be a useful and interesting one for us all. So today I will be talking about creator currency, turning attention into income. Um, I'm sure there's going to be a Q&A after this, so I will run through my slides and then I think save your questions and let's kind of have a robust conversation about that. I think that key elements of this are, and what to expect in my presentation is, look, creating value first, and that's really, really critical. How to price and package your creative services, and then monetization models that work in Africa specifically, because there's a lot that works in global markets that don't necessarily work here. And then something around building longevity through owned products and IP. There's never been a time when I've done a presentation without giving a bit of a disclaimer at the beginning. This session is for creators. I'm not a creator. I'm sure that that came through in my description. At Big Cabal and Tech and across our publications, Tech Cabal and Zikoko, we've worked with creators. We do a lot of work that requires monetization. And so I have some experience and some knowledge of this. And hopefully it will be relevant to all of you. I think you know who I am. That introduction was robust, so I will jump directly into it. Um, so as a session matter, I think that the creator economy has changed and is continuing to change. I think it's really, really critical to know that attention is easy to get, but it's hard to monetize. And actually, maybe even the first part of that sentence is tricky because there are more and more things competing for our attention. And um, a really critical thing to note is this change is constant and the pace of change is increasing. So even attention will become harder to get. If you think about sort of what AI allows us to create today, the volume of content out there competing for people's eyeballs will continue to grow and it will grow exponentially. So attention is relatively easy to get now, but that's going to get even more difficult. And then, of course, monetization is the step above that, so that will get even harder. And so as these platforms change, it is critical that you are paying attention. So here we're talking about, look, a lot of our creators are visible but broke. It's very, very easy to build a little bit of virality, do something silly, do something shocking, but maintaining that and then converting that to value, I think, is really, really the hard work. So it's important to pay attention as the platforms change, as algorithms change, to be aware of how the systems are changing. And then you start to build your sort of monetization system and kind of understand sort of what a long-term strategy is around that. Attention is the new oil. It's a bit of a dramatic statement, but I definitely will say that over time, the platforms have proved the importance of attention. And essentially, everybody is attempting to get, 20 seconds at a time, 2 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time of your attention. Um, there's a very, very fleeting attention that people are able to pay. So people are on the internet, they're scrolling on Instagram, they're scrolling on TikTok, they've come to YouTube and they've been captured by YouTube Shorts. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of going to YouTube to look for something, and before you can find the thing that you're looking for, you see a clip from Game of Thrones or Avengers or whatever it is, and it actually pulls your energy away from the thing it is that you were looking for. We're in a really, really messy attention, a really, really messy attention economy. Um, and being able to do something that captures people's attention consistently and interestingly is definitely powerful. Like anytime I open Instagram and there's something that I liked enough that I started following the account, and I've liked consistently enough that the Instagram algorithm is showing it to me every time I log in, I'm impressed. And it means that this person has created something that is consistently meaningful and interesting to my own life. I'll give an example here. I am a gym buff. It is how I survive in the madness of Nigeria. So of course, Instagram serves me a non-stop stream of fitness influencers and all of this kind of people. And all of them are great. It's somebody like, they're doing their curls or they're doing their push-ups or they're doing whatever it is. They are very, very buff. They are very, very attractive. Most of it is meaningless to me. So there's only one or two or three accounts where it's like, actually, as a gym buff, this person's information is consistently useful, consistently helps me elevate my own game, consistently helps me think about what it is that I do in the gym. And so I follow that person. And it's consistently interesting enough that Instagram serves it to me every time I open that platform. We'll talk about defining your niches as we go in here, but a really critical thing here is, and I will probably reference this account again over the course of this, is this person has created something that is now consistently valuable. They have the opportunity to sell me something else. They have the opportunity, in terms of whatever monetization Instagram is able to offer them, in terms of whatever brand deals they're going to sign. They have captured my very, very fleeting attention, the very, very fleeting time I have. They've been able to capture it. And that's a critical thing that I think each of us need to think about is like in a sea of whatever content category it is that you play in, there will be a sea of content that sits in that same category. So whether it's fitness influencer or whether it's comedy or like what is it that you're doing that allows you to stand out in that space and capture people's attention for long enough to actually like turn it into value. I talk a lot about value before monetization. Um, so I know we've come into this conversation once. How much should I charge? How do I get brand deals? What should I be selling? Should I do ebook? Should I do whatever it is? But monetization comes after you create value. And so money follows meaning. Um, a brand gives your work meaning. People understand what you stand for. They understand what category you're playing in. If you don't create some value, then there's no point, there's nothing to price. Um, so what works is your identity. And this is your identity. This is what you are good at. This is what is meaningful to you. And sometimes we think, okay, we need to be serious. But you don't have to be. If you think about a brand like Lai Wasabi, creator like Lai Wasabi, Lai has created something that's distinct and is distinct to him. He is and you can see it in his comedy that he is by nature a nerdy lawyer guy. This is what it is that makes him tick. He likes a particular kind of humor that is more intellectual than other people's. He has not attempted to become Brother Shaggy because Brother Shaggy was big when he started out doing his work. He has done something that is true to the area of content where he has expertise, the things that feed his own passions. The man likes lecturers, he likes law jokes, and he has built something that's very, very distinct to himself. So your own identity is a critical part. And it's really, really important that you don't lose your identity and try to create something that works for the market. You start with the things that are meaningful to you and you try to see what it is that resonates with other people. Um, and yes, Lai is in a class of his own, but the goal is to be in a class of your own. Because if you're in a class of everybody's, there's no value to be created there. Um, trust comes from the value you create. It's like, okay, I know he's worth, like, I know that this brand of comedy is distinct to this guy. It's interesting enough that I want to see him all the time. I want to click follow. I want to follow him, whether it's on X or on Instagram or on YouTube. If he says he's doing a YouTube series, I'm going to go and watch the YouTube series. But his comedy was rooted in his identity. He's created a value, which is this brand of comedy that's distinct and that's worth engaging with. And you trust it enough that you will follow him platform to platform. A question that people often ask is, which platform should I start on? Ultimately, when you build a brand that really matters or that really, really serves value to people, they will follow you platform to platform. So that trust, that value will carry you over to wherever it is. Um, and that's really, really important because the platforms tend not to be stable. One day, Instagram's algorithm will start to deprioritize you, or X will change their thing and they'll ban this kind of creator or that kind of creator. Can you put out a message to your entire audience so that they follow you? When you have that, you have something that's really monetizable. Um, it's critical to create something special. I cannot emphasize this enough. Every single one of your favorite creators or your favorite show or your favorite director has created something that is distinct. So as Lai is in a class of his own, you have to work on your craft until you are in a class of your own. It doesn't stop when you start to become popular. That's actually your pick-off point. You have to continue to refine the work. Um, there's a lot of just thinking about the work that is critical. Um, you have to look at other people's work, break down what it is that makes it special, look at your own work, be able to critique what am I doing right, what are people responding to, what is it that people don't like. You need to ask your friends and ask your foes because your friends aren't always honest because they're trying to be supportive. You have to ask people who you think have great taste about what it is that you can do to refine this. Not everybody's feedback is equal. If your best friend is a banker, they may or may not have useful feedback on content on your content creation work. You have to find people who have real insight into it, but you also have to just do the homework. A really important thing is developing taste, is watching enough of other people's things to be able to say, this is why this is good. This is what it is I'm going to fix about my own. This is what I'm going to change about my own thing to make it strong. But again, if you don't have a strong edge, you don't have a strong differentiator, if what you are creating is Me Too content, then you don't have value. And it's important to avoid that trap, to avoid being lazy about that particular part of the work. Um, a brand isn't your logo, it's not your color, it's not your Instagram aesthetic. I've seen places where people are suing somebody for copying their Instagram aesthetic, or they're using the same colors as I am, they are wearing the same kinds of clothes. If that's your only differentiator, like your market will not be long. Um, a brand is, look, what do people associate you with? What is it that is only you? So I just gave the example of Lai Wasabi's humor. The Instagram influencer I talked about from a fitness perspective gives the most practical, basic information about how to build a successful program for yourself, a correct common errors about how to do certain exercises. He will, do those stitch videos where he shows somebody saying, "Oh, I started doing this kind of exercise and it blew up my glutes." And he will tell you, actually, yes, that is a really good exercise, or no, that's a really bad exercise. It's super practical advice. It is valuable to me. Maybe it's not valuable to everyone. Some people actually go to Instagram and all they want to do is, like influencers that are showing their gains. That's fantastic. There's room for those. But for me, this person constantly solves a problem for me. They give me a steady stream of information that is useful to my life. So I follow him, I follow Lai, probably follow a few other people. As I think of them, I will mention what is it that is distinct to those people that makes them valuable to me. But ultimately, you should know anybody that watches my content, anybody that sees my content, this is what I want them to leave with. That can be a feeling, it can be a practical problem, it can be a practical thing that you solve. But the better at defining it is you are, the better you are at creating something that is really, really distinct, the more likely it is that it will resonate with somebody and then you can build a brand that you can monetize on. If you think about, I said what I said, if we can bring them into this conversation, it is a really, really distinct mix of comedy and humor and practical advice about living in Nigeria in a way that few other people have been able to do as well. So the question is that you? And you have to constantly evaluate yourself and see if, like, look, I do this thing well enough for it to be valuable to other people. So how do you define your niche? You start with yourself. What are you knowledgeable? What are you passionate about? Find the problem. What specific problem are you solving? Again, we do humor. I would say we probably over-index on humor. We've built some massive, massive comedy brands. Are you funny enough to be the next big comedy brand? Like, be honest with yourself. Is there a thing that you might be able to solve or own a niche in? There's tons of niches that I don't see enough content in. Like we talk about, um, if I look at Indian YouTube, there are tons and tons of people whose entire work is teaching you math or science or geography. I don't think a lot of Nigerian creators or a lot of Nigerians think of that as this is a potentially valuable space. But actually, you know what? There are many, many people that need to pass JAM. There are many, many people trying to pass their PLAB. There are many, many people trying to JAPA by becoming experts in X or Y or Z. Maybe you're really, really good at math, and what you should be doing is teaching people math on YouTube. It will shock you how much value you can generate for yourself if that is the niche that you decide to own, especially because there will not be 1,000 people in that niche trying to do the same thing. Um, that's really critical. Go and find the space that is unexplored, where you can be the first one to own it. When Tyler started doing his videos, there weren't 1,000 people doing real estate videos or showing Nigeria in this particular light. Now, there's 1,000 people doing, come and see the real estate, come and see this fantastic house in Banana Island, etc. But when he started, it was a space to own. So, what is a space that you can own that nobody else is really sort of doing? And feel free to go wide. It can go to go wild, like, and think further afield than what it is that's obvious. Then know your audience, who needs a solution. And again, if you think about the universe of audiences, what are the things that people need? There are probably a lot more people looking to pass JAM literature or pass JAM math than you have considered. And so there's probably a bigger opportunity in that space to build something valuable than you've considered. So think about the different audiences that exist. If you're thinking about what it is that you're good at, what are the spaces that you might be interested in, just think, look, how many people might be moved by this thing? And do a little bit of research, do a little bit of homework, where all of us have ChatGPT. Go and ask it, what's the potential audience for this particular thing? What's a space that, if I were considering the universe of X and Y and Z, how many people might there be? Test it. Create a minimum viable product or a minimum viable offer. So the minimum viable product is a tech term, and it just means, look, create this thing quick and dirty and see if it resonates with people. Okay, you want to go and test math content. Take a whiteboard and, a marker, set your camera and film yourself, explaining whatever the basic thing is. Don't do anything fancy. Don't buy ring light. Just do it and put it out there. See if it works. You do it once, you do it twice, you do it 4 times. See if it starts to resonate. If what you've been doing before was comedy content or what you were doing before was fitness content and you don't want to confuse your audience, it does not cost money to start a YouTube channel or to start a new Instagram channel. Call it, math for WAEC. Right? I said I didn't even, it's been a long time since I did any secondary school exams, so I don't know what it's called these days, but math for JAM. And try it for a month and see what kind of response you get. And again, like you don't have to spend a lot of money on your first, it's called a minimum viable. It's just enough for you to see if this thing is engaging for people. At a company level, we call it a pilot. Okay, do a pilot. Let's see how it works. If it feels like there's a bit of a response, we'll do a few episodes. Well, we've done six, five, six, 7 episodes. Come. When we started, it was doing 900 views. Now it's doing 200. It's gone to 50. Clearly, there's not really a demand for this thing. Moving on from it. But actually, if there is a demand, if you do it better and better over the course of that you test, then you know that, yeah, okay. More and more people are looking at this. So I'm getting some feedback. Some people are saying it's good, but if you can change X, it might be better. Then you have a good sense of, okay, actually, there's some value to this thing. The minimum valuable offer comes later. You've built something. Come, what's the small thing I can charge them for? Make it easy for them to pay, make it easy for them to engage in, you know, um, and test it. Just see how people respond. Make it cheap because it's a starting point. And then if it works, then over time you can raise your prices and figure out, look, what's the actual price I need to be charging for this thing? Um, Attention is the new oil. It's great. Everybody's competing for it. So it's great if you've now built a brand, people find some value in it. Um, Trust, I think, is the real multiplier. That people are coming back to you over and over again. So again, you don't want to create a viral video once a year, once every 6 months. You do 1,000 silly videos and one of them catches everybody's eye. But then it's going to take another, 3 months before something else you do catches. You're trying to build something where people start to like, you know what? I want to follow this. I want to see more of this. I want to come back to this thing. And I trust that the quality of this person's work is consistent enough that it's worth my attention. And literally, it is their attention you're fighting for a lot of times in the creator economy. It's just, am I doing something interesting enough consistently that people are willing to spend time with me? I'm constantly like unfollowing things that I followed before because, you know, yeah, they gave me that one laugh, but actually, on a consistency basis, this thing is not worth my time. And there are a lot of things competing for my time. I need to make sure that I'm not spending it on things that are not valuable. So I think trust, attention, people being willing to come back to you, people trusting that you're um, worth doing something, then you now have commercial value or at least the potential of commercial value. So people are willing to buy from you, people are willing to recommend you, people are willing to stay with you, people are willing to buy something that you recommend to them. And that trust, I think, is what it is. I watched again on the fitness, my themes are a bit consistent. There was a running video I was watching today, and somebody in one of my running groups sent it, and I saw the comments and they were really interesting because this running influencer had a sponsor in the video, and so he was advertising some product, like this is whatever it is. And then I went to look at the comments from it, um, and everybody was like, "Congrats on the sponsor. You've been creating such consistent content. Congrats on getting a sponsor that believes in it." I thought it was so interesting. There were lots and lots of comments about the fact congratulating him on getting a sponsor. I thought that was really, really interesting that people have been watching his videos. They've been finding value and entertainment in his videos, that they were also pleased for him that he has gotten a sponsor. And that does raise the likelihood that they will actually buy from that sponsor and that that sponsor will stay with him because his audience is saying, actually, yeah, you found a sponsor that's aligned to the work that you do, and we're happy for you, and we see value in what it is that that person is bringing. Um, I think I've seen some comments from yesterday about this, so somebody brought it up yesterday. Oh, we all like big numbers, and I used to work for Nigerian Breweries, one of my jobs, and one things I used to get is like, this video has reached 1 billion views, and this person's channel, they are now have 500 million followers, and why can't you get our account over there to the same number of followers or the same number of views? And then I'd go and do the investigation, and it's like, actually, yeah, they're buying views and they're buying followers, and the fact that this thing has 50 million views doesn't actually mean anything because if I go and look at the analytics, 48 million of those are in India. And unfortunately, we don't sell Feruz or Maltina in India. So there's no value to these views. Um, I think most CMOs, most marketing managers have gotten a lot smarter about not chasing vanity metrics. So it is nice to have a big number, and chase the Zikoko team. Like, wow, this Instagram account's not grown bigger than that. But actually, our ability to monetize rests in the fact that the people that know and love Zikoko know and really, really love Zikoko. So I may not have 20 million of those people, but 250,000 or 300,000 that follow our Instagram are people that actually really, really understand what this brand stands for. They care about it. So when advertisers come to us or when brands come to us, they know that this audience actually knows what we stand for and cares about what it is that we do. So if their product is a match for our brand, then our audience will respond positively to it. We don't do a lot of direct sales. Some of the stuff that I'll talk about in this video, Zikoko doesn't do. But if Zikoko were to try to sell a product, actually, I guess we sell, what do we sell? We sell events. And I will tell you, Zikoko's done a bunch of different event formats. We have never had any problems selling out an event. We did an event a few years ago. It was a barbecue event. It was called Burning Ram. It was a first-time event, and 2,000 people showed up for it and paid money for it. Last year, we did our Naira Life event, which is a personal finance and sort of wealth event. On a weekday, paid event, 900 people showed up. And I thought to myself, this is remarkable. Talk about those moonshots. This year will be year 4. Last year, there were 5,700 people at Moonshot. I don't even remember the prices, but the cheapest ticket at Moonshot is not cheap. The most expensive ticket at Moonshot is something like 300,000 Naira or something like that. And people are paying money consistently for it. That makes me feel a lot better about the fact that our newsletter only has 91,000 people subscribe to it, even though I would like it to be 500,000 people. But the fact that those 91,000 people and the people that follow us on X and the people that follow us on LinkedIn are willing to bring out their money when we do an event or when we do a report and we say, come and pay for it, means that we're creating real value. So would I like 5 million followers on our Instagram? I don't know. It might not be as valuable as the 100,000 or the 200,000 that actually are willing to put out their money, that are willing to support the work that we do. And that's a critical thing for you to think about as you build your audiences. It's like, who's listening to you consistently? Are they the right audience for your work? Who's willing to take an action because of you? Think about people showing up to an event. They saw the event, they thought, oh, this is interesting. They went to the website, they found out more about the event. They brought out their card and paid money for the event. Then they got up from their house and showed up at the event. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of steps. So that's a critical thing. Who is willing to take action because of you? Who is paying for your insight, for your taste, for your access? Who's willing to say, I trust their fitness program. I will pay them for that fitness program. And again, you'll be surprised, depending on the niche that you find. If your niche is teaching people math for WAEC, and again, I just came up with this example during this thing. But if you are good at teaching people math for JAM, you might have 5,000 people and find that people are willing to pay for any course it is that you are willing to put out there because they really, really want to pass JAM. They really, really want to. If you are teaching people to pass their PLAB, which is the exam that doctors have to take to move to the UK, you might have 200 people and find that of those 200 people, 10 of them are willing to pay you 100,000 Naira, 200,000 Naira, because passing the PLAB is not it's not a small business. It's a very, very serious business. So if you're able to help them prove that you can deliver consistent value, you'll be shocked that by the time you have 200 followers, people are willing to pay money for anything that you're willing to put out there. So decide the area that you're going to be in, and don't worry about the big numbers. Just make sure it's an area where you are delivering value. Converting engagement into revenue, again, know the pain that you solve. And I am essentially, I'm advocating here, think about more useful things. Entertainment is the easiest place to enter, which also means it's the most crowded space. Um, if you look at our two publications, Tech Cabal and Zikoko, and you think about it, I would tell a secret here, which is that Tech Cabal continues to out-earn Zikoko because the value of its to audiences is a bit more concrete. So actually, no, it's a lot more concrete. Value, humor, and Zikoko is a very, very useful publication in a lot of ways. We do talk about a lot of practical things, but Tech About our work, now serious work. It's about serious money. It's tech. For a lot of people, following Tech About is not about entertainment. It's not about whatever. It's about their work. And so it's easier for us to convert it into value. So I am, in a sense, advocating that as creators, you think about, look, where are the places where we can offer more concrete value? So why would people follow you? Again, entertainment is easy and entertainment is good. I follow a lot of things that make me laugh. I follow a lot of things that entertain me or, give me a thrill. But you're more likely to monetize when there is a really, really concrete reason because this person solves X or Y or Z problem. So why do people follow you? What problem do they already trust? Do they trust you to solve? What outcome are they looking for? And again, you know, you can be a real estate influencer. Can you build trust? If I were going to try to do real estate influencing or create content around real estate, I'd look at everything that exists and I'd be like, how is it that I create one that they trust more? Because a lot of people doing real estate content that me, I see it and I'm like, I would not buy, a box of matches from that person, much less a mansion in Banana Island. So you got to think, what's the audience for people who have money to buy a mansion in Banana Island? What is the content that those kind of people respond to? And go and do all your homework around that to figure out how it is to um how it is that I create something that those people are more likely to trust or that is more relevant to those audiences. Um, why should they trust me to solve that problem for them? So position yourself as a solution, not just entertainment. Like I said, the entertainment, oh, boy, it's plenty, full ground. A guide, not just a creator. I will help you understand this space. I will take you into it in ways that other people are not doing. Again, to go to the fitness thing, there's a lot of people that do like, yeah, kind of very surface level fitness information. They're blessed by their genetics, or they've put in the time in the gym and they look buff. But I see all the content is like, yeah, 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 yeah. There's very few of them that are doing something that's thinking of I need to come back over and over and over again. When you get to selling, and this is critical, the right side of this screen, make it easy for your buyers or your potential clients. There's a pack of things where I call selling tools. What are your selling tools? So if you're an influencer, I send you, hey, please, what are your rates for quotes? Send me a clear rate card. Don't make it difficult. It depends, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? Well, and there's space for that too. There definitely is a space for negotiating based on value. Some things are need to be custom. But on day one, I want it to be very, very clear that, okay, look, sponsored post, 100K, fantastic. Here's your 100K, here's my sponsored post, post it, make it easy. A lot of creators lose a lot of business because once you start batting, I've moved on because I don't have time. A compelling pitch document is also a critical part of that. And what's important about the pitch document is that it helps you clarify in your own head, this is my value. This is what I stand for. So at the point where you're trying to figure out what's my niche, what's valuable, all of that, you should be able to write clearly, um, you know, my name is Chiagoziem Nweke, and what I do is this kind of content. This is why I'm valuable. This is why I'm important. I've been doing it since that time, and this is why you should follow me. My name is Doris. This is the content I do. This is why it is interesting and compelling. This is why you should advertise with me. This is the value I can give you. These are the kind of people that follow me, and this is why you should advertise to them. This is all homework. But I hope that all of you realize that this thing is work and not a hobby. And so work requires doing the work. You study your competitors, you talk to brands and buyers. Um, at any given point, I've downloaded the rate cards of all of my competition. I'm seeing what is they are charging. I'm seeing which new product they've introduced that I don't have. Um, if their rate card is not on their website, but yeah, I'll call them and pretend that I too am trying to advertise with them. Actually, maybe I am going to advertise with them. Whatever it is I need to do to understand what the landscape is, I'm doing to understand the landscape. When I have a conversation with a brand or with a buyer or with somebody, I am calling them not just to pitch them. Every time I have a pitch meeting, before I start selling my own story, before I start telling them how amazing I am, or maybe sometimes, look, you do the introduction, here's who I am, here's what I represent. But as soon as I'm done with that, what is important to you? What are you trying to accomplish? What audiences are you trying to reach? If I don't have it today, at least it gives me information so I know how to package it for the next time. Noted below me. And then understand the metrics that are important. So, um, you know, again, we've talked about, yeah, audience size may not be the big thing, but yeah, our engagement rates are great. I ran a campaign for this person and they converted this. They said they sold this amount of whatever it is. So you've got some information to give the prospective buyer about why they should spend time with you. Um, Monetization here in Africa is difficult. We have the youngest, most savvy population. Some of our issues, and I'm sure you guys have already talked about it, the global platforms don't allow us to monetize the way they monetize elsewhere. So brand deals will become more important to you. Our purchasing power is not as high as in other markets. There's low trust in digital only offers. Again, a really big thing with all of this is you've got to raise trust. So people trust that Tech Cabal will deliver. That's why they are paying their money to come to the event. Every time we're doing an event, I'm thinking to myself, I have to deliver on this event so that they will pay for next year's event. You might need to be flexible in your pricing, smaller packages, more frequent purchases. Don't start for the big money immediately just because I talked about like a sponsored post or whatever it is. There's a 100K product that still pays a lot of salaries at Big Cabal because actually the market is the market. Not every advertiser is going to have big money. So I got to have this small thing that they can buy on a regular basis. And then I will charge the people that have money for big things the money. High data costs, all of that, you guys know that. You just have to make it worth people's while to come into your thing. I think payments first, credit cards, mobile money, you guys know that. You know the market that you're in. So again, it's make it easy for your buyer. As you build more trust, as you speak to buyers and understand them more, you will be able to charge better. Again, each time you sell, try to get as much information from the people you sell to about what worked for them and what didn't work. You start with a rate card, and it's critical to have a rate card and to make it easy when you are starting. Over time, you can build your rate card and do more value. So yes, I can give you a simple sponsored post, or I can just post your thing on my platform. Or actually, the thing that will be more valuable for you is I will record the skit myself. I will make sure that it does this and this and this. I'll post it on these three different platforms. And when I did that for Nestle, this is what happened. That's a bundle. Again, on day one, nobody's buying your bundle because nobody really knows you like that or trusts you like that. So start with a simple rate card. But very, very quickly, the more you listen, the easier it is to then package and figure out, look, here is what it is that I can do. Um, Again, over time, tiered packages. So yeah, and just there's content creation. In the middle level, I'll do content, I'll distribute it, it'll be across all these platforms. I'll call somebody, then usage rights. Again, you can't negotiate usage rights on day one. But usage rights is this thing, you can use it for 30 days. You can use my image for 30 days. You can post it on your platform for 1 month. But after that, you have to take it down or whatever it is. That's not anything that you can do when you first start. But I can assure you that if you're going to try to get Jola and FK to be on your campaign right now, they are negotiating as part of it. You can use this thing for 3 months or 6 months. After that, if you do it again, you pay me new money. That is trust, a brand that people care about, all of that. And then again, there's more once you can do campaign reports that show your performance, show your impacts. You can build out a campaign that is not just me and my Instagram channel, but me across multiple platforms, etc. Um, And then over time, you can then start to do things. I really like the metaphor of a stool. Day one is brand deal, and that's usually where you start as much of those. If you can do affiliate deals where every time they buy something, every time they use this link, I get a percentage, fantastic. That's really, really good. The only thing is that it requires a lot of volume. And then a really important one is, can you do your own book, your own course, your own product? Again, if your audience cares about you, if you're in a niche that's valuable, they are willing to pay that. And that, again, depending on your audience, you can charge whatever it is you want, and that can be really, really valuable. So over time, you want to move from the social platforms are really interesting. Like I said, the algorithm can change any day. So over time, you want to move people into spaces you control. If you can build an email list, it means you have a direct relationship with your audience. Or a WhatsApp, Telegram community, people are in there, you have direct ability to communicate with them. Again, nobody's coming to your WhatsApp or Telegram channel unless they trust you and that there will be value there. A website or a database. Websites, I think, a bit shaky these days because people just don't go to them as much. But a database of people means that there's an audience you can send a WhatsApp message to every time you have a new product, you have a new client, whatever it is. So if you can move people into spaces you control, I think it's a lot more powerful for them. Um, Again, things that you can test. Depending on your space, it may work, it may not work. It's really, really important to have a mind of experimentation. So if you try something and it doesn't work, figure out what you did wrong and maybe you need to try it again, or figure out something else that you can try. But you can try a paid workshop, you can try consulting offers, you can try a simple digital product. Again, that can be, here's my guide to how to japa, here's my guide to everything. Whatever it is, test it. And again, you just have to test intelligently. So sometimes you do a test and it fails. And it's not because the product is not good, it's because you didn't shout about it enough. It's because you didn't package it properly. So you have to like do a little bit of thinking after the test fails or succeeds. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? Do we need to try this again? Or do we just abandon it? Sometimes you abandon it. Like, clearly nobody wants to buy a workshop from me. What else can I sell? Avoid expensive mistakes. So try to do it as cheaply as possible. But try it and then refine over time. I think I've talked a lot about this. Like brand deals are great. It's where you usually start. A lot of people have built houses in Banana Island on top brand deals and bought Range Rover on top brand deals. But longevity is products that you own, IP that you can license, things that like allow you to earn money without you just having to create new content all day, every day. And think about that from a long-term perspective. Build a brand that works. Build value where people don't care where they find you. They are willing to go and look for you on another platform. Premature monetization. I always like to think about money as early as possible, but try not to sell so much that people are just like, oh, I don't like that platform. What they are always doing is selling, 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 selling. It's not actually valuable. And then questions to ask as you're launching. Do people trust me in this area? Does this solve a real problem? Can this grow beyond me is maybe a later question. You know, when you start, a lot of creator brands are rooted in the person. But it is useful over time to think, can this grow beyond me? So part of the reason I have a Tech Cabal and Ezekoko rather than Tomiwa channel is just, well, I don't want them to come and look for me. Tech Cabal does the work. No be me they write down, no be me they do everything. I've never written an article for Ezekoko, but it succeeds beyond me. But that's also why I'm not a creator. It's why I'm a media brand. Does it align with where I'm going long term? I think those are just important questions to think about. So there's a big mindset shift in this over time, which is, yes, I'll start as an influencer, but what am I trying to build? Will it last? You know, will there be a real community? Will there be real products that we can serve? All of that is just kind of the long-term thinking.